Welcome back to ESL TV for the Intel Extreme Masters Cologne cross-round qualifier for the amateur tournament that will be taking place in Cologne. But before we talk about Cologne even more and get more underway with the qualifiers, we just want to remind you guys that over at facebook.com/IEM, you can vote for the pro teams to play in the Intel Extreme Masters Singapore, which will be 1 week after Cologne. We have Taipei Snipers, Saigon Jokers, Singapore Sentinels, and my personal favorite team in the Southeast Asian region, Mineski.
I love what we're doing with IEM now, like having people vote for the teams they want to see come in, because if you just look at Cologne coming up, I think it's the first league event within IEM. Having Gambit, Fnatic, Cloud9, CLG, just so many of these teams that everyone knows about going head-to-head in these international tournaments are amazing. Honestly, I would like to see all 4 of these teams really qualify for it, but fortunately one can through the voting.
Yeah, and just to give you a quick update about the other side of the bracket, Meet Your Makers versus Copenhagen Wolves. Copenhagen Wolves won game number 1, and pretty quickly they won that one as well. They were, I think, done at the same time as us here. So I'm just going to tell the guys that we are ready. Go. So we can get underway with game number 2. If you're just joining us, welcome, first of all. I hope you stick around for the rest of tonight's action. SK Gaming won game number 1. I can't remember how many minutes, but it wasn't very many. They pretty much stomped all over Millenium.
Yeah, they did start from the get-go, as we were saying earlier. You know, when they got that first blood, giving that to Candypan on Caitlyn, then the 3-man push onto the bottom lane, getting the first 2 turrets down right away. It was very one-sided, but there were a lot of slip-ups, though, that really, you know, concerned me, that they kept getting caught. Nif was overextending a little bit too far, but when they have that kind of a lead, I think they still felt confident in the end.
I think that was actually part of the reason why he got caught, because he was just a little bit too overconfident. But we're into picks and bans for game number 2, then we'll see what direction they go this time around. And I can tell you that Kassadin banned out here for Millenium as the first ban, and Aatrox banned out first by SK Gaming.
Okay, so we have to see a Renekton ban coming in soon from Millenium. They have to take that away from Freddy 1-2 unless Doiby wants to run it in that top lane, since they will have that first pick. Orianna, though, I'm still kind of concerned about that champion. If they do want to let one of the teams get it, you'd obviously want it more on your side, as they actually ban out Zed this time here. So they want to keep Jesus from getting these really assassin-y, is that even a word? Assassin-y champions here.
That's a word now, you just invented it.
But they do actually let Renekton... Okay, so he doesn't get through, never mind. I was going to say.
Yeah. Shyvana, obviously, the final ban here for Millenium, and we did see a Gragas before the Renekton came out. We talked about leaving Renekton open, but Millenium might first pick it. They've done that with Caitlyn here, which Candy Panda played brilliantly in that last game, managing to get first blood onto Doiby in the mid lane right from the very get-go. But SK, they're going for a similar thing as to what they ran last time. Thresh, support, Nif, brilliant in game number 1, and Svenskeren as well on Elise.
I want to know if we're going to see Candy Panda on Corki, because that's what I'm looking at. Since Caitlyn was taken away, like you were just mentioning, what do they want to run within this time? But Nif on those hooks, as you're saying in that last game, we've never seen him at this level or this good, landing pretty much every single hook.
I don't think we have, honestly.
And it was just amazing to see how much he's improved over this time so far. And also the communication within the team. I mean, seeing him save Svenskeren in the enemy jungle towards that red buff, if you think about towards the early parts of the game, was amazing. We do see an Annie picked up, though. So most likely, I'm going to say a support Annie with that Caitlyn. That is dangerous. They both have extremely long auto attack range.
Yeah, that is dangerous coming out there. And the Annie. Didn't expect that actually coming in.
I don't think anyone out there did.
Dude obviously played Fiddlesticks in game number 1. He was a pirate Fiddlesticks, and he did lose his leg many, many times in the early game. Went down twice without even really being able to do anything. Didn't go well for him this time around. We're thinking that this Annie will be support. That obviously could end up, I suppose, in the mid lane with Slayer as well. We'll have to find out. Jax left open. Very, very strong these days. And possibly Graves for Candy Panda.
So if they do go with that Graves, they'll have 2 people who are really tanky, at least in the lane. So obviously Thresh will be very tanky, so will Graves. Up against that Annie Caitlyn combo, if they do go head-to-head, which I'm assuming they don't want to. He does switch to Corki, so...
Safer pick, anyway.
Yeah. If anything, they're not going to try to go for a head-to-head lane here. They've got to be going for a 2-for-1 like they did last time, even though it wasn't intentional on their part. But they can't really afford to go up against an Annie Caitlyn lane. Like, Corki will just explode at this point. And even with that cleanse, once it's off cooldown, Annie will have her stun back up again.
Well, we'll find out if it will be, I was going to say, Vi as well as Vladimir. Not falling for Victor. I don't think we're going to see Victor. Then again, I didn't think Annie was coming out either, so maybe it ended up being wrong with that one. We'll see here. Millenium just cycling through. It's always the supports that troll us. I don't know what.
Yeah.
Supports, they obviously get bored at some point during the day and they're just like switching around. Jace being hovered over here and going to be locked in. So a Jace. That's, I'm assuming, well, it's a very interesting combo
Top
now
lane
because Udyr as well.
That's gonna be that's most likely gonna be a top lane Udyr, I would say, and then a mid lane Jace. That's, unless they want to go for the other direction, we're having Annie Caitlyn middle and then send like a Udyr bottom and Jace top or something like that. But
Jace against Jax. Yeah, well, we'll see about that one. That's an interesting composition coming out here for Millenium. SK looking like they're going to go a little bit more standard though, with an Ahri currently being hovered over by them. And I think this Ahri will get locked in. And again, because I've seen a lot of new people joining us from when we talked about this at the start of the last game, that we are on the tournament realm and on patch 3.1.2, which is the one just before what's on live right now. So that change to Ahri, amongst other things, is not in this patch. And also Jinx is still disabled. Good.
I don't like hearing you say our ultimate every team fight because you say it with a smile on your face every single time.
Super Mega Death Rocket is definitely the best name that Riot have come up with for an ability. Switcheroo, he's almost close, and that's on the same champion. Like, they really nailed it down. Riot nailed it with Jinx's ability names, that's for sure.
Oh, wow.
So, looks like we're going to see a mid lane Jarvan from Slayer, Jace in the top lane, and an Udyr jungle. Now, what do we think about that one?
Well, if you remember back to earlier on the season, Froggen started playing, Jarvan middle quite a bit. I don't know if he was the first one doing it, but he's the one that kind of made it a little bit more popular. And obviously very strong, very hard to go up against that if you're a squishy AP champion, which Ahri kind of is. The Udyr, though, I'm not sure about that. Because if you look at what he's going up against, he has a Jax that can leap. He has a Elise that can obviously escape. You have an Ahri you can ultimate away. You have a Cork you can Valkyrie away. The only person that you can definitely get up to is this Thresh. But if he puts his ultimate down, how are you going to charge in? And when Gambit used to run this, with Diamond in the jungle, we always talked about you have to have some hard CC on the team to allow Udyr to even get in there. It's hard to rush in when you don't have a gap closer. It's going to be really tough for him to do that, but if he has a strong early game, he could definitely put a lot of pressure out across the board.
And that's why you got to wonder, how is this Udyr even going to run into, the Charm, into a Flay, which will knock him back, or the Hook, which will just gather him in there. Elise, obviously, Cocoon as well. Like, it's going to be hard, in my opinion, for this Udyr to have a big impact on the game. We'll see, though. I'm So Fresh, certainly a very talented jungle. We're going to find out exactly how this one goes down. Millenium certainly changing up their lineup completely with this one. And to be honest, they need to change something completely because that last game was not very good from them. As I kick the light again.
The disco lights.
Oh, damn it.
The Udyr, though, I'm curious. Well, I'm So Fresh go the Doran's Blade Udyr into Tigers. With that, maybe going for a very early gank on middle onto Jesus with the knock-up coming out of Jarvan. It's a very likely possibility. And if you get rolling with a Udyr in the jungle with a Doran's Blade, it's really hard to stop. He puts out so much damage. But I don't know. Yeah, you're definitely right. They're a completely different lineup for them. But can they pull this one off? They were a little bit unfortunate last time. I think it was out of their hands just right in the beginning with all the summers they blew, the first stat that they got, not to mention the turrets. But SK, I mean, running something pretty similar, at least with their jungler here. But I'm really curious to see how good Freddy is on Jax. He's kind of getting a resurgence here.
Yeah, I mean, Freddy's Renekton, we can't say anything bad about it from that last game. I mean, we saw that fight at the top inner turret, which was 4v5, after they'd lost Nif in the jungle, and then still went to siege the tower. Like, he manhandled 4 men at the back of that fight to stop them really getting in there for a fight. So, he is definitely on form at this point, and I suppose Jax can have a similar effect to that one. Right now, Dude is actually not connected to the game, so hopefully he will be back here in just a second. We'll figure out exactly what's going to be going on with this one.
I'm asking the admin real quick just to see what's going on. Obviously, this is the first best of 3 of the night between SK and obviously Millenium. We have another one coming up a little bit later in the loser side of the bracket.
Yeah.
But Joe, what's your thoughts really quickly on the Millenium, or not the Millenium, the Meet Your Makers game? I mean, obviously we didn't watch it, but seeing Copenhagen Wolves take a very quick victory against them, that was honestly, to me, that's a little bit unexpected, at least for Meet Your Makers side, to really lose that quickly.
Well, you're right. I can't really say much about it because I didn't see it. Yeah. So it's hard to make any kind of judgment on that front. But it's a quick win as well for Copenhagen Wolves. And Meet Your Makers, for me, they're a team that we saw them at the start of the summer split doing so well. The momentum that they gained game by game seemed to really carry them on. But once they started losing game after game after game after game. They're a very, roller coaster team when it comes to momentum. Like when they're on the game, they look brilliant and they look like they can beat anyone in the world. When they're off it, they look like they just can't beat anyone. And, they kind of need to find a middle ground there some way. Hopefully, the time that they've had in between the LCS and moving up towards promotion, things can change there. But right now, Copenhagen Wolves lead that series 1-0. In our series here, SK are beating Millenium 1-0. So let's get into this one and see exactly how it's going to go down and whether Millenium can get off to a better start than they did in our first match.
Well, they're not grouping up middle here to go up against SK yet again, but SK is going for an invade. They actually might be able to catch someone out guard here if they do for Cocoon, but a nice ward coming in, so that will spot them. But they do get the kill onto at least, so that's at least one ward down for Dude. And they want to control red again. I mean, they did such a great job in game number 1 of controlling the buffs after the first ones went down, even the first red buff, that they want to do it again. They want to keep that confidence and keep that momentum going into this game. Yeah,
they were so good in game number 1 when it came to buff control. Every bit of control, like they were warding right from the very get-go with Nif, who obviously went with 4 wards right at the start. Not quite on the same this time around. I say that, but he's already put 2 wards down, right? Yeah, he has. Good job, Joe. Good stuff. But they've got those 2 wards in there, and including this one, which is what we were talking about in game number 1, about that 4 ward start from Nif, that they want to see what's happening in terms of lane composition, how that one's all going to shape up. That's what they're going to have to work with this time around. They know that Millenium are on the top side of the river here. That ward has already spotted that out. So Millenium, they've not got a lot to work with here, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, the only information they got is from that one ward over towards red buff, which obviously doesn't give you too much. It tells you where the AD carry is, though. Obviously, it was seeing Nif go through it. But it's not as much information that SK has through theirs. So now Fresh is going to have even a harder time here trying to gank because they will be spotted going towards this red. And Jax will know he's down there. And we're actually having lane swaps come in. So we are going to see the 2v1 top lane for SK, which we were kind of expecting, to be honest, and a 2v1 bottom here for Millenium.
Yeah, and I think Jax is to have a hard time against Jace early on anyway. I mean, he jumps in, you knock him straight out there. You've got a perfectly timed Counter-Strike. The range that he has is going to be a problem to deal with. So in a 2v1 or a 1v1, I think Jax would have struggled anyway. I think this is a better turnout for SK.
Yeah, and he actually went back really quick and bought a couple of extra health potions too, realizing he won't be able to get in range of any CS anyways, which is actually smart on his part. And Svenskeren already had his blue buff, and SK knows that I'm So Fresh is over at his red, so they might actually have Svenskeren go bottom here just to make sure Jax doesn't get pushed out of lane and does actually pick up a couple of CS here instead of falling too far behind.
They spotted I'm So Fresh's position. And this Jarvan middle, that's something to keep an eye on here coming out of Schleyer. Oh, at level 2 at this point. We'll see where he puts his points. And second point actually coming into Dragon Strike there. So he's going to be leveling all that up first. As we said, bottom lane, 2 versus 1. Dude, always going to be a threat as he builds up this stun, but I don't know. I think Freddy, the way that he played in that last game, he was looking on form. I don't think he's going to make any mistakes about this one.
Yeah, he's just trying to get the experience he needs to keep leveling up, hit that level 6 point where he becomes pretty strong. But we do see I'm So Fresh already here in the bottom lane. They're actually going to go for a push onto it, and right now Jack's getting stunned.
Yeah, stun coming in there, but I'm So Fresh getting a little bit close in on the turret there, taking a lot of hits. He went off to Nanook for a little while. Freddy managing to survive from that one, but he's used both his Ignite and his flash as the Piltover comes through. I'm So Fresh going to flash in there. He's going to pick up first blood this time around. Svenskeren wants to get the kill on him, though, and he will be able to get the kill there. And that will leave us at 1-for-1. Svenskeren's buff's going to get reset. But the first blood did go over to I'm So Fresh. We'll see how that really, leads him forward now after the start that he had.
And Millenium coming out a little bit ahead on that one just because they got the 2 assists over for Nanook and Dude. So they got an extra assist over the other team. But I don't know. I think that favors SK a little bit more just in terms of getting a reset on the double buffs for Svenskeren. That makes his ganks even more deadly. And right now, Dio's having a tough time on the top lane.
Yeah, he's got hooked in there, actually. Taking a lot of damage, the double Ds. Everyone likes double Ds, Jason, I'll tell you that. Mid lane, meanwhile, Jezit taking a lot of damage there from Schleyer as well. Not quite forced out of the lane. Didn't use his flash either. as did not Slayer. So both of them still have that available. That was close for Dogby, though, in this top lane.
Or Diod, as I called him. It's hard anyways. So yeah, so he does escape with his life, but he's behind CS currently, even though Freddy122 did die in the bottom lane. But he's going to be able to CS a little bit easier, obviously, as the lane does get pushed into him. But I don't know, what's I'mSoFresh going to do with that first kill? What is he going to be able to provide his team here? And Svenskeren is actually going to relieve Jesus here in the mid lane.
Yeah, he's going to need to. Jesus falling very, very low there from harassment of Slayer, who himself took quite a lot of damage there. That red buff ticking away onto him as well. And Slayer actually is headed up towards his top lane. Now, they've pinged River, but he's actually gone through. He's going around the back of the Baron pit here. And they're going to look to make an impact. They've got Udyr coming in. SK need to back away from this one right now. And so I'mSoFresh going to go in there. There is the knock-up missed. It was a Valkyrie from Candy Panda. And a hook here onto I'mSoFresh. He's going to take a lot of damage. Tries to turn around here on towards Nif. Candy Panda now pushing back. This could be disastrous. Here comes Svenskeren around the side. They go for Slayer. Oh, the cocoon landed onto one. Slayer did die, and Dogby's not going to escape either. That will be 2 kills for SK Gaming, and I feared for them seeing Jarvan and Udyr, 2 of the scariest gankers coming up into their lane. But what a quick turnaround from SK there.
Yeah, fantastic job. That Nif with the hook that he landed onto Udyr allowed them to get so much damage onto I'mSoFresh that he had to run away. And then Svenskeren, he had the perfect read on him because of that ward that's currently down in River. And Nif even flashed in for a hook here, but obviously not going to be enough in the end. And, you know, Joe, I was actually worried a little bit into this game because in terms of I'mSoFresh, since I know him a little bit more than I know the rest of the people on the team, to me, they kind of run off emotions. And after losing that first game so heavily, I think it's carrying over into this game, and you're seeing SK take advantage of it.
Well, I mean, the start was good again, I'd say, from... I say again, it wasn't in the last game, so just ignore what I just said. Let's start again with that one. The start was good here for Millenium, managing to pick up that first blood. You know, giving that over to Jungler to get him those boots early on, picked up the Spirit Stone early on. So, you know, things get moving from there. They got the assist on the AD carry, on the support, which allow other things to happen as well. But that whole gank on the top lane, like, it's always going to be dangerous anyway. We talked about it before, the whole flay, the fact that you can get hooked in there when you're not expecting it. And they're not super tanky at this point of things, and we saw just how much damage can come back. Svenskeren reacted to it perfectly as well. Elise, extremely strong kit that she has, able to bring 2 kills their way, and it's already a 1,200 gold lead for SK. And
look where I'mSoFresh is on the minimap right now. He's trying to set up for a gank on the bottom lane here, but I think he was looking for Jax, not for Candy Panda, as he's just going to back away instead. But right now, look at what's happening on the top side of the map now. We see SK invading the blue buff here. They're trying to keep it out of the hands of most likely Dogby or even Slayer here, and they're going to be able to get this one if they do land the smite. Yeah, Dogby comes in there, smited away from Svenskeren. If game 1 was any kind of indicator, when we saw him stealing away that blue buff right under I'mSoFresh's nose, out-smiting him, quite honestly, then he's not missing many of those smites here today. May have just jinxed him for a future Baron fight, though. We'll see about that later. He's going to get his own red buff, and that will mean that that blue, of course, can go over to Jesus, who is actually behind here to Slayer's Jarvan in the mid lane, having a bit of a tough time against him. Yeah, I mean, that's honestly, if that's something you should kind of expect, Ivan Ari, just because he realizes if Slayer does get on top of him, it's going to hurt. He needs that level 6 point to be very mobile, and right now, actually, he is spotted going for blue, so he should still be able to pick it up here, as we do see Svenskeren going in, but I'mSoFresh picks it up. Yeah, it does pick that one up, but at what cost is it going to come to him here? Where is he going? He's headed north here. He's a dead man. It's Jesus that gets that one. Not sure about the decision. Well, I mean, he was between a rock and a hard place, wasn't he? Nif and Candy Panda were on the bottom side, but look at this. This is the SK that we saw in game number 1 as well. Take an objective, take one man out of the game, and follow on so quickly that Millenium can't do anything. They pick up Dragon here. We're 8 minutes 50 in. It's not quite as fast as that last game. The turrets aren't falling as quickly. The kills aren't coming in as quickly. But it's following the same plan. And SK looks really reminiscent of Gambit, where you give them a finger and they'll take your whole arm. I mean, they got to kill onto the jungler. Like, all right, well, Dragon's up. Why not take that as well? But we do see Svenskeren actually trying to make something happen over towards bottom right now. But he will back away instead. Not even going to go for the red buff here, but they've been limiting what I'mSoFresh can pick up. He went for the boots of ability to try to be able to gank a little bit more often. Slayer taking so much. That is ridiculous damage coming out of Svenskeren already. And honestly, he's not really got that much either.
Like, he's not really got any big items in there, and that's dangerous times for Schley, who himself obviously is not super tanky at this point. But that just shows that SK, and the thing is, that was pinged the whole time. Is Freddy here going to dive in towards Dogby? Dogby. There's an eye in there, Joe. And it's not Dude, Jason.
There's an eye in Dude, though.
Yeah, it's the two Ds. That's all the problem in there. At least coming out towards his top side again. Going to be spotted by a ward, so Doigby should be safe. Just out of range there of the Cocoon. But SK, they're doing exactly the same as they went for in game number 1. High pressure on those towers. Oh, where's Annie? There was Annie, and she's dead. They do manage to get 1 kill back, actually. But now Nif is actually going to have to try and get away from this one. He's going to have his Flay available, and that will stop I'm So Fresh in his tracks. Now, mid lane. Is Slayer going to push here on towards Jezit? Svenskron coming around as well. A little bit too slow to react to that one. And again, guys, I am the cameraman. I know you've got used to amazing camera work during LCS. I am not that amazing cameraman that you used to, I'm afraid.
I mean, you miss like 1 kill a day, that's it. So
I've
that's
missed
pretty
2
good.
already today, so.
I was trying, okay. Well, anyways, though, we do see a kill obviously coming in for Annie, not exactly who you want it to go to, but you'll take that kill definitely. And SK, seeing that Schlea was out of the mid lane since he went top to defend against Freddy122, they're going to take middle turret and get some damage onto this one. And Millenium, I mean, they're not doing as bad as they were in the first game, but they're still very far behind at this point.
And we're seeing Hex Drinkers now come out from Schlea. That's going to give him a little bit more tankiness against the Elise and Ari. But they need something more than just a little bit more tankiness at this point. They need to make plays here, Millenium, because if they just kind of coast, they're going to start to fall behind again, because SK have proven that they are incredibly well organized at this point in things. They look, as I said, like a team that have been together for a lot longer than they have. The nuke going to get caught here. Chalmers landed as well. Is he going to come down on top of him? He tried to. Dude actually going low as well as Nif comes around the side. Going to throw the flare. Actually missed there as we see the rest of the team. Jezzy did pick up a kill before he went down. Svenskron goes low. Actually will fall, and Nif, he needs to back off now. He needs to get on towards his turret. This could be disastrous from SK, and it will be a double kill for Schlea. That brings them right back in the kills. 3 for 1, that engagement.
And we were just talking about how organized SK is. Millenium able to catch him off guard from the aggression that they applied onto Nanook when he got caught with the Cocoon and the Charm. And they come out ahead in that fight, and they close that gap lead to only 1.6 thousand, which is, I think, 7,000 better than they did in the game prior at this point. But can they use this momentum, though? Can they go off the back of this and be able to make it work for them? Where, you know, Doigby, I don't even know what Jace's build anymore these days if he's going to go for a tier, because it's a little too late at this point. So he won't be able to harass as much, and they have to go in for a straight fight, which, you know, that Annie's done to set up I'm So Fresh and to set up Schlea, they have the possibility of doing, but they have to be able to survive to that point.
I'm So Fresh just laughing there as Freddy tries to chase him down. But that leaves us at a 1,300 gold lead for SK. Not the end of the world for Millenium, that's for sure. A lot better than it was in that last encounter. Actually, Doigby is slightly ahead of Freddy122 in levels. Look how many wards they've got down here in their own jungle as well, Millenium. They want to avoid any kind of invader who's going to get it. Both of them. Bonus. As another couple of wards come down. Nif stands on the trap. Not able to get in there for any more support walls.
They both had pink wards again, too. That's what was really funny. They could have went for that. But, you know, taking a look at CS across the board, you did say that, you know, in the top lane, we have Freddy122 ahead of Doigby. We have actually Svenskron very far behind I'm So Fresh. They're actually feeding a lot of CS over to him as he... Wow, he actually went for a Stinger as his first item. And Svenskron's been trying to roam around gank, you know, trying to help out these other lanes, which currently he's actually behind in terms of gold. Compared to his counter opponent. But right now, we see Kenny Pena has a little bit of assist lead over Nanook. He has his Triforce done, where Nanook just doesn't have any items built up just yet. He only has 1,000 gold to spend at this point, so he's not going to have any major items come in anytime soon, which gives SK a huge advantage in these team fights.
And just saw there Freddy coming down to get that ward in position. Did manage to survive as well. We've got 50 seconds until the Dragon comes back into play in this game as well. And SK, you can bet your bottom dollar, will be ready for that one. There's, as I said before, so many wards on the map right now. There's kind of a line from both teams around the river and back of the Dragon Pit area, which Svenskron actually is going to walk on through right now towards the red buff. You'll see that that's not actually there, and may even get himself some wraiths, just for the goodness.
And it looks like they might... Oh, the red buff has respawned. He knows it just respawned too. And I was thinking maybe they want to go for a gank on the bottom and then turn it into a dragon right off of that. And we do see Jesus actually heading down as well as Svenskeren here. And they're actually going to try to take this red away.
This is super dangerous from SK. They've been spotted here by the wards as I'm So Fresh started to move in there. The Cocoon actually missed, but they managed to land the charm onto the nuke. He will 90 caliber net back to slow Jesus from being able to get in there. SK, in the meantime, seeing that bottom lane had gone, managing to push that outer bottom turret down.
And with that little bit of, I don't know, getting caught, quote-unquote, by Svenskeren and Jesus, it pulled the AD carry support away from Millenium and gave SK a free turret, gave him another dragon on top of that, and they just acquired quite a bit of gold here, as it looks like they might even want to push middle.
Yeah, So Fresh needs to back away from this one. Jezit has his ultimate available. Is he going to go in there for the charm? We see that Jax did start to come back. And look at this. They've said Udi is out of the picture now. He's gone top side. This is going to be a split team of Millenium if we want to fight.
And right now, Annie's in a perfect position, dude, looking for that stun onto the entire team right now. But the rest of Millenium, they aren't too healthy. They're not in a great position for it either. And it looks like SK are just going to back away from this, but they do land the Cocoon.
That's what I was talking about. I'm So Fresh going to go down before he could do anything. Dude going to get hooked. Box goes down. There is Tibbers into the equation. Dude's still alive from that one. But look at the damage that Millenium are taking now. Jesus gets back in there. Svenskeren slowed down by the 90 caliber net. Couldn't do any more. That's a 2-for-1. But will he open the turret for him here? With Jarvan, Caitlyn, and Jace, they should be able to clear out decently fast here. But SK, that pressure always going to be there with a charm, with the Cocoon available. And there is the charm and the Cocoon. Doigby's a dead man. Svenskeren picks that one up. This is the tower for SK.
And as you saw, that fight broke out with I'm So Fresh getting caught with the Cocoon and charm. The rest of Millenium couldn't react quick enough. Like, you had Annie with the stun. Dude was ready to just flash over the wall and drop it, but he just died so quickly. And then Nif landing the hook onto Dude instead of anyone else, just to stop him from engaging, stopping him from getting a stun that he wanted, that he had to use it defensively instead of offensively, and had to try to keep himself alive.
A lot of farm here for Candy Panda down in this bottom lane as well. All that good old gold. And how much has he got to spend? 2,000 by the time he goes back here. 2,000 as well for Svenskeren, who's just picked himself up Haunting Guys. And a couple of cloth armors as well, because he just can. He's got that much gold. As you mentioned, I'm So Fresh going in for the Stinger here. What do you think to that one?
I think it's a very interesting pickup. I mean, I can kind of understand why he wants to go for it, for that attack speed, since he is going Phoenix Sansadir. Yeah. And also the cooldown reduction, but honestly, we've seen him in these past two fights alone. Look how quickly he dies. He's not tanky at all, and because he went for the Stinger first instead of, you know, the Spirit of the Ancient Golem, he's not going to have the extra tankiness that he needs. And I think that's really going to hurt him here as he gets caught yet again. We have Svenskeren coming around from the side, and the hook lands.
Oh, the hook landing once again, and I'm So Fresh just out of position completely. There is Svenskeren coming in, and actually it's Candy Panda that gets it in the end. The lantern used by Nifu, I'm going to say it again, has just looked absolutely phenomenal throughout this game.
Oh, we see actually in the mid lane, we see Jesus going in, and look at the damage he just did to Annie, though. Dropped Dude down to half health in just one Orb Deception. Ridiculous amount of damage. And, you know, one thing we didn't even point out in the beginning of this game is that Millenium are all AD. That allows SK to just build pure armor, no magic resist, since Dio doesn't really have anything built up for AP-wise, and just tank them.
We'll see if they go down that route. Right now, they're pretty high on the damage front as Doigby here. Oh, flashes away from the Cocoon, but that was landing if he didn't flash it. And SK now, well, they've got complete positioning. Freddy, yes, he's going to get caught out up by the blue buff, but SK have positioning on this middle lane, but will they want to stick around for a 5v4 fight? Yes, they will. Nif goes right into the middle. Apparently, the rest of the team didn't really get that memo. Doigby going to be followed up from there. That's another Cocoon landing. Charm missing on towards I'm So Fresh. What will SK now, with a 4 versus 4, no, 4 versus 3, sorry, because Nif, of course, did die. Will they go for anything? Actually, Candy Panda, he's going for the fight here. Did get stood on a Caitlyn trap there, which stopped him from chasing in any further. But if he's able to take Udyr down basically 1v1 there, that is bad sign.
That's exactly what we were talking about before. I mean, he has a pickaxe now. He's still building damage when he doesn't have the tankiness to survive against the AD carry at this point in the game. And right now, I mean, honestly, I'm looking at this, and I feel like Millenium is kind of just conceding it right now. I mean, with the position that I'm So Fresh has been in constantly, you know, at blue buff getting caught, and then right there coming around from the backside trying to pull the minion wave away, I'm just not exactly sure that they're playing to their utmost level right now, and Blue Buff going to be stolen away yet again.
Yeah, there was a ward there. They were stunning it for a while, but no one from Millenium could even think about reacting to that one. And that will be a nice blue buff steal. Their blue buff is, in fact, up as well, so you'd imagine that Jesus is going to head himself around and make sure that that one is going to be secured as well. Dragon's coming up in 1 minute and 20 seconds. We have currently a 5,000 gold lead for SK Gaming, showing in their items well a very much assassin-based Jesus at this point with that DFG in there as I'm So Fresh gonna come around. Candy Panda is there as well. Second time caught out of position. Not really sure what I'm So Fresh is aiming for at this stage.
Yeah, I'm not too sure either, and I'm trying to think back to some promotion tournament. I think the same thing happened then. I mean, I know what he's going for. He wants to make some big plays happen, but with the warrior that SK has, yeah, he's just not making. It's just not working for him. And right now, we see actually a last whisper picked up for Candy Panda, which is kind of interesting because the other team doesn't really have any armor built up just yet. But obviously, it will come a little bit more handy a little bit later on. But we do see the Zephyr picked up though for Udyr. So he does have a little bit of attack damage, some movement speed, some cooldown reduction, and tenacity in there. But all the tenacity in the world won't save you if you die that quickly to 1 or 2 people in SK.
They're looking to steal away the blue buff here. Need to be careful because Dude's coming around. He's got the Oracle Elixir on him as well to start things off in terms of clearing out, but won't be needed. Red buff stolen away. SK back off.
And with the gold they have, do they have enough to spend? No, they're not sitting on that much gold, but Dragon will be up in 4 seconds, and they're sitting inside of a bush. They're waiting for someone on Millenium to kind of come by the side so they can pick him off, but either way, Millenium can't contest this Dragon. It will go over to SK, and that will just strengthen their gold lead even more here.
An easy pickup, not contested whatsoever. And honestly, I'm So Fresh. You know, I said it in that last game when we were like, wow, that's really bad. And I also made the point of even First Blood is not, you know, it's an indicator of maybe what's to come in the next couple of minutes or what have you, but going further forward, it can a lot of the time mean nothing. And look at Slayer now, 2-5-3 after having such a good start of things. He's been caught out of position is maybe even an understatement for it, like completely out of position in the middle of nowhere. Like you can't afford to do that here. Millenium 1-0 behind. It's looking good for SK, honestly.
And look at him again. He's still pushed up on that minimap. Oh, we see Dude dead.
Dead dude. Yeah, he's dead from that one. He's actually going to see I'm So Fresh headed down towards this bottom lane right now with that Zephyr as well, which may give him a bit more of an edge against Candy Panda, but
not
the way
really.
that Candy Panda manhandled him in that last fight, you're going to have to probably say not going to really do a lot. Cocoon actually missing this time around. I'm So Fresh walks in there on towards Candy Panda. Did get away this time around, but he's low, leaves the turret completely open for them.
And it leaves SK with a 5-on-3 potential here. The Charm does land again onto Shlea, but not the Cocoon, so they're just going to go for some damage onto the turret. And you see Freddy 1-2 in that top lane just hammering away at that tier 2 turret.
Yeah, that's going down here. They're not going to be able to stop that one happening. I don't think he's even going to care about the waves coming in. No, he does get that one. Cocoon landing on towards Slayer as well. And we see Jace trying to put back as much as he can as Niffy are going to get engaged upon. There is the Cataclysm coming down. Slayer going very, very low. Dude actually going to get in a great Tibbers. They're on top of them here, Millenium, doing a lot of damage. Svenskeren actually took the ace in the hole there as a flash from Candy Panda putting behind. Cocoon doesn't land as they want to, but here comes the cleanup crew. Jesus getting in. He actually stood on a trap there, I think, or was stunned up maybe from I'm So Fresh, but either way, that's 2 men now down. The rest of Millenium are very low, and Jax is going through the base on his own here. Freddy 1-2-2, the super satisfying sound of a Jax hammering on buildings. He's got the inhib down to half HP. They're not going to be able to stop him. Maybe they will. Slayer's actually powering in there with home guards, and Freddy just leaps away to safety.
What's I'm So Fresh doing right now? Look at him on the map. He's in the bottom lane, pushed up that far. I guess he was trying to look for someone, but they weren't even near there. And because he didn't back up quick enough, the inhibitor does stay alive barely, but they get the turret at least, and that allows SK to go in for a push here. And you saw how low Candy Panda and Jesus were when they finally did escape in the end in that fight. And just imagine if Dude had maybe a little bit of AP, or maybe Shlea had a little bit more damage, or had the Cataclysm up during that fight, it would have been a little bit different. But I'm So Fresh, he's dead. That's a dead bear.
Yeah. He knows it. He knows it as well. As he's just like, I'm just going to get a bit of farm while I'm here, you know. Gets himself 2 CS. In comes Candy Panda. pretty much just one-shots him there on his way through. Candypen's like, well, that's 1,700 gold I've now got to spend. I've got my Triforce, I've got my last Whisper, and now I'm just going to move in there as we see Jesus going in on towards Doigby. And Dio did try and come across there, but didn't even have that stun built up. Wouldn't have been able to stop Jesus, I think, moving through anyway. Candy Panda, by the way, did pick himself up another BF sword. So, I say another BF sword. First BF sword is going to be going in towards that Bloodthirster from this one. This is SK's game to lose now.
Yeah, and it's kind of a shame, too, because we do see Nif getting caught over at blue buff really quickly. But in terms of, it's kind of a shame is because Millenium did have a decent lineup. I just love that sound of hearing her die. Like, they had a good lineup. If Jace maybe got a tier and could actually harass, from range. Baron. If he could poke, then he would actually get SK low enough that an anti-stun would be able to help clean up the entire team. But it's just unfortunate for him, he hasn't been able to get too much farm in lane. He's been shut down 1 and 4. He had to go for a last Whisper as his first buy, and now the other team's going to have Baron against him here.
Yeah, Baron is picked up here by SK Gaming. I'm so fresh is still pushing this bottom lane out. But let's probably take a 5v4 at this stage of things. Doigby actually going very, very low there as well. And Nif looking to get in. Slowed down there by the 90 caliber net. But honestly, as I said, SK's game completely to lose. Almost looks as if Millenium have already given up, honestly.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, we see Shlaya middle. He's going to get 1 turret. We see actually Anso Fresh go back from that turret on bottom to pick up blue buff. And the rest of SK like, all right, well, we'll just take a free inhibitor on you. And right now, with Candy Panda coming back here to Shlaya, he should be able to 1v1 him here. And Shlaya's not going to take that turret down.
Hex Drinker, Brutalizer, Phage. I think Candy Panda can just dive on into him if he really wanted to there. With that Baron buff on and a red buff as well. Probably didn't want to risk it. But we have Thresh and Elise coming through. There is Slayer actually diving in. They're going to flay him back. Cocoon should be landing onto him, but Nif may go down here. He's stuck inside of the Cataclysm. Decent kill picked up here by Slayer. Svenskron continues to hammer away as Dude going very, very low there on the backside. Is he going to get any more? Wow. Blown up there, Nunu. Full HP to nothing.
And just that shows how much damage that Jesus can do here. And they were able to get at least 2 turrets off this weird push that we just kind of saw for losing 1 inhibitor. But it's inhibitor down. Actually, they even lost Baron on top of that, so it's definitely not worth it in the end. And right now, SK grouped up his 4, pushing this bottom lane. As Jesus pushes middle, his ult is on such a quick cooldown now that he can escape here momentarily if he needs to. Or he can just catch someone off guard and blow them up. And Jax, look at the items he has. Trinity Force, Blade of the Rune King. That's not a Jax you want to go up against at all. No,
that's Jax in Wonderland at this point. You see SK just going to tank up this bottom inhib turret. With Jax, with Corki and Elise there, they're able to do a lot of damage to it. But Millenium actually coming back from this one. Freddy pops the counter-strike, which will basically just zone them away. We did lose Ari in the mid lane there to Schleier's Jarvan. And this is now a 4v3 at bottom. They need to be a little bit careful here, SK Gaming. As I say that, they just turn around and run Millenium, and SK chase them back in.
And Nif is clearing out wards here over towards the bottom side of the map as well. They do have the damage to take this turret down. I mean, Candy Panda has to hit it 1 more time with that Triforce proc, but Millenium going in with those home guard boots. I'm surprised trying to set up a stun right now, and the rest of SK just going to back away, it looks like.
Yeah, just walk on away from this one. So Jarvan just pushed out this top lane as well. Obviously, that inhibitor was taken down earlier on by Freddy's Jax. And now they're setting up a little bit of a trap, maybe. No, Dragon's there. They can take that one for free. And, well, everyone can get over the wall. This 4-man annoying crew that can get everywhere.
And this game is just, to me, it's just kind of like SK doesn't really want to finish it. I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at it as they keep trying to, at some points. But then you have I'm So Fresh in the top lane farming between turrets for some reason. And they do have 1 inhibitor down. He's trying to keep the super minions away from getting to this turret. But if he's not there, they can't win a 5v4. And that's what's going to break out here.
Yeah, and SK are on that inhibitor turret now in the mid lane. Hook not quite landing there from Nif, but Doigby may be in trouble. There's a repel coming down from Svenska, and Doigby will hammer him away, but that's bought enough time here for SK to almost take down the turret. They couldn't quite get the last hit, but it's only going to be 1 shot here from Corki to finish off that inhib turret. Now Jesus is coming across the side as well, and there is the finisher on it. Second inhib turret and inhib of the game going to go down here for SK, and number 3 may just follow.
Yeah, yes, Fresh still pushing that top lane. That turret is definitely gone here, and the chance for coming back from 3 inhibitors is so damn low. You hardly ever see it in League of Legends right now. But Jack's going, what the hell?
Yeah, straight in on towards Steel there, blows him up. Tibbers used on towards Freddy, but that's not going to be a problem. Actually flashed in for the kill. And so Fresh comes across, the box goes down, that slows him completely. He flashes onto Candy Panda, who stays alive. Charm lands onto the nuke. That is an ace coming out from SK Gaming. Honestly, they can tank these turrets up now and finish off the game.
Wow, just so well done, and you just saw how much damage they did in that fight. Dio just blew up to the hands of Freddy122 right there, who just goes down to a turret. Oh, well, that's the end of the game, doesn't matter too much, but SK so well played, and they just took advantage of ImSoFresh being in that top lane, not being with his team, taking out turrets, taking out inhibitors, and taking their way into Intel Extreme Masters Cologne Amateur Tournament coming up November 23rd and 24th.
Yeah, very big win here from SK. Obviously, they got a walkover in the first round. Alzen not turning up early enough, but this one, a very convincing 2-0 over Millenium. Game number 2 lasted 30 minutes. Game number 1 didn't get close to that, and that's a very good sign from SK.
Yeah, one thing we saw during that game as well is something that SK had problems with in summer split of LCS, is that they could get an advantage, but they didn't know how to close it. You know, even Oslat was talking about they'd have like a 20,000 gold lead, and somehow they at that 40-minute mark they wouldn't know what to do. But SK here, I mean, when they did get like a kill or get an advantage at all, they would take advantage of it. I said advantage too many times, but they would take it and actually push it to the other team instead of just, you know, lounging around, just keep farming. They actually seem to change their mindset here. You know, with the addition, obviously, with Freddy122, Svenskeren, and Jesus, it helped change the team mentality around here. And I think we're seeing, you know, a really different SK emerging.
Well, refresh the brackets. Let's see if any other results have actually come in from us at this point. We are going to be moving next of all into a best of 1 in the lower bracket. So once we get these refreshed, we'll bring them up on your screen so that you can actually see all how that one's going to be going down. So let's have a look then. Let's bring up the brackets here. And we can see, obviously, SK Gaming there beating Millenium. They go to the non-existent, really, winner bracket finals. That doesn't exist. That winner bracket finals is Intel Extreme Masters Cologne. They're qualified now, as will be the Wolves and Meet Your Makers, which was 1-0 for Meet Your Makers.
Copenhagen Wolves, I believe, had the one I lead.
Oh, yeah, sorry, for Copenhagen Wolves, you're right. And then in the bottom side of things, H2K beat Alzen and TCM beat Avalanche Supreme, which means...
it means Millenium's going to be dropping down to play against H2K.
No, I think they dropped to the opposite side of the bracket.
Ah, okay, so they're against TCM.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Millenium, TCM, and the loser of Wolves, Meet Your Makers against H2K on that bottom side. Obviously, we'll check that out with the admins, make sure that we aren't wrong on that one. So you make sure that we're you know, on point with giving you that knowledge. But guys, we're going to be taking a quick break. Don't forget, you can still vote for the pro teams that you want to see in Intel Extreme Masters Singapore over at facebook.com/IEM. Some great names in that from the Southeast Asian scene. And obviously, we'll be picking out those teams from the vote, just like we did for IEM Cologne, where Cloud9 and CLG from North America and Gambit and Fnatic from Europe got their spots. So really interesting stuff coming up. URL's right at the bottom of your screen there. And as I said, we'll be taking a quick break. We'll figure out exactly what game is going to be coming up next. Don't forget, you can follow us both on Twitter at Joe_Miller, at JCapLol. Do that in the break, and we'll be back with another game soon.